Hi, my friends. Wishing you a peaceful and happy day wherever you are. Today's story is about a boy who started with nothing. Raised by a shepherd, hunted as a baby, hidden from kings. He was born a nobody, but became the man who freed nations. Not with fear, but with fairness. Not with cruelty, but with compassion. Over 2,500 years ago, one man changed the meaning of power forever, and his name was Cyrus. This story isn't just about war or kingdoms. It's about courage, kindness, and how true greatness doesn't come from how much land you conquer, but how many lives you touch. A long time ago, over 2,500 years in the past, there was a land full of mountains, deserts, and ancient cities. This land was called Persia, and in this land, a boy was born who would one day become one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. His name was Cyrus. But Cyrus did not begin his life in a golden palace or surrounded by servants. His early life was full of danger and mystery. Some ancient stories say that his grandfather, King Astyages, ruler of the Median Empire, had a dream. In the dream, he saw that his grandson would one day take his place as king and rule over many lands. This made the king afraid. He ordered that the baby, Cyrus, be killed as soon as he was born. But fate had other plans. A kind-hearted servant could not bear to kill an innocent baby. Instead, he secretly gave the baby to a shepherd and his wife. They raised the child as their own, far away from the palace, in the quiet hills of Persia. Cyrus grew up not as a prince, but as a shepherd's son. He learned how to care for animals, how to work hard under the sun, and how to live simply. This humble childhood taught Cyrus something very important. He understood the lives of common people. He did not grow up with riches or power. He grew up with love, hard work, and honesty. These lessons would stay with him for the rest of his life. As Cyrus grew older, people began to notice that he was different. He was smart, kind, and very brave. Even though he thought he was just a shepherd's son, he had the heart of a leader. When he played with other boys, he always led the group. He protected the weak and stood up against unfairness. Soon, the truth about who he really was began to come out. When King Astyages found out that Cyrus was still alive, he was shocked, but it was too late to stop what destiny had already written. Cyrus had already won the hearts of many people. He was not just a boy anymore. He was a symbol of hope for a better future. Cyrus eventually returned to his true family and began to take his place as a prince of Persia. But his dream was much bigger than being just a prince. He wanted to unite all the people of the land, Medes, Persians, and others, under one banner, not through fear and cruelty, but with respect and justice. At that time, the world was filled with many small kingdoms and empires. The Median Empire ruled a large area, but it was known for its strict rule and heavy taxes. Cyrus knew that the people deserved better. He wanted to build a kingdom where people felt safe, respected, and free. Cyrus gathered people who believed in his dream. Together, they formed a strong army. Not just strong in weapons, but strong in spirit. Many people joined him because they believed in his vision. He promised them freedom and fairness, and they trusted him. In a great battle, Cyrus faced the Median king, his own grandfather. With clever tactics and strong support from inside the Median army, Cyrus won. But instead of seeking revenge, he showed mercy. He treated his grandfather with kindness and took over the Median Empire without bloodshed. This moment was the beginning of something historic. Cyrus had united the Persians and the Medes into one powerful nation, but this was only the start. After taking control of Persia and Media, Cyrus began to expand his empire. He did this not just through war, but through wisdom and respect. One of his greatest victories was against Croesus, the rich and powerful king of Lydia. The Lydians had gold and wealth, but Cyrus had something stronger, the love of his people and the desire to bring justice. Even though he defeated Croesus in battle, Cyrus did not kill him. Instead, he spared his life and treated him like a friend. Croesus later became one of Cyrus's advisors. This showed the world that Cyrus was not only strong in war, but also strong in forgiveness and wisdom. Cyrus's empire kept growing, but every time he entered a new land, he did something that no other conqueror had done before. He respected the people, their traditions, and their gods. He did not force people to change their religion. He did not destroy their temples. Instead, he protected them. This won him the love and loyalty of many nations. People saw him not as an enemy, but as a liberator, a true king of the people. One of the most important moments in Cyrus's life came when he conquered the great city of Babylon. Babylon was one of the richest and most famous cities in the world. Its walls were tall and strong, and its kings were known to be harsh rulers. But Cyrus was clever. Instead of attacking the city directly, he found a smart way to enter. He changed the direction of the Euphrates River, which flowed through Babylon, and his soldiers entered the city through the dry riverbed. The people of Babylon were tired of their cruel king. When Cyrus entered the city, they welcomed him with open arms. He walked into the city not as a destroyer, but as a friend. What happened next made Cyrus truly great in the eyes of history. Inside Babylon, many people were suffering. One group, in particular, the Jews, had been taken from their homeland many years earlier and forced to live in exile. Their temple in Jerusalem had been destroyed, and they had lost their hope. But Cyrus gave it back to them. He told the Jewish people that they were free to return to their homeland. He allowed them to rebuild their temple in Jerusalem, and he gave them supplies and protection for the journey. This act of kindness is written in the Bible, and to this day, Cyrus is remembered with love by the Jewish people. One of the most important objects from ancient history is something called the Cyrus cylinder. This small clay cylinder contains writing that describes how Cyrus ruled his empire. It talks about freedom of religion, respect for different cultures, and justice for all people. Many people today believe the Cyrus cylinder is the world's first declaration of human rights. This shows that Cyrus was not just thinking about power and land. He was thinking about people's happiness and freedom. Can you imagine a king 2,500 years ago talking about human rights? That is why Cyrus is not only known as a great conqueror, but also as a visionary leader, someone who could see a better world and work to make it real. Cyrus's empire stretched from the Mediterranean Sea to the edges of India. It was the largest empire the world had seen at that time. But Cyrus never became proud or selfish. He continued to lead with kindness and courage. Even in his later years, he led his army into battle. He believed a leader should never hide behind walls. But one day, during a campaign in Central Asia, Cyrus was wounded in battle. He died shortly after, around the year 530 BCE. His death was a great loss, but his life had already changed the world. He was buried in a simple tomb in Pasargadae, a city he had built. The tomb was plain and quiet, just like the humble boy who once lived in the hills with a shepherd. Even Alexander the Great, a famous conqueror who came 200 years later, visited Cyrus's tomb and showed great respect. That's how much his name was honored. Cyrus the Great lived thousands of years ago, but his ideas are still alive today. His dream of a world where people are free, respected, and safe is something we still try to build. Many modern leaders, scholars, and historians look up to him as an example of how to use power the right way. What makes Cyrus truly great is not just that he won battles, it's that he won hearts. He believed in treating people fairly. He didn't rule with fear. He ruled with trust and justice. His empire didn't fall quickly because it was built not just on swords, but on respect. Cyrus proved that a leader can be both strong and kind. He showed the world that mercy is not weakness, but strength. His actions taught people that all humans deserve freedom, no matter where they come from or what god they pray to. Cyrus's life is more than history. It is a story of hope, a lesson in leadership, and an example for anyone who wants to make the world a better place. He started as a boy raised by a shepherd. He became the founder of the Achaemenid Empire, the largest the world had ever seen. He freed people, respected all religions, and ruled with fairness. He made mistakes like all humans do, but his heart was always in the right place. So if you are young and you wonder what you can do, remember Cyrus the Great. You don't need to be born rich or powerful to be a great leader. What matters is your heart, your honesty, your courage, and how you treat others. Be brave like Cyrus. Be kind like Cyrus. Be wise like Cyrus, because the world still needs leaders like him.